Hello, and welcome to the University of Suffolk Business Engagement Podcast. I'm Gemma Matten, Business Engagement Manager here at the University of Suffolk. Today we're discussing an exciting new apprenticeship that is helping to develop the next generation of environmental health practitioners who play a vital role in protecting public health, supporting communities and ensuring businesses operate safely and responsibly. I'm delighted to be joined by Edward King, our course lead for the Environmental Health Practitioner Level 6 Degree Apprenticeship. Edward has over 20 years of experience across a wide range of environmental health specialisms, from food safety and housing standards to licensing, public protection and major events management. Edward, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Gemma. Not a problem at all.
So, for those who may not be familiar with the profession, what exactly is environmental health?
So I think we're a very misunderstood profession. So most people would say you work in the environment, you keep the environment clean, safe. That's not our role. So we're a branch of public health and we're interested in how human health is impacted by the environment, whether that be the natural environment or the built environment. So we are public health practitioners and professionals. It could be how housing affects your health, the food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, the workplaces you work in, where you go and socialise, and how all of that impacts your health. You will find us doing our work on the coalface of public health.
You've worked in a huge variety of environmental health roles throughout your career. So what initially attracted you to the profession and what's kept you passionate about it for over 20 years?
So I was one of the rare ones, and I entered the profession straight away from sixth form. Mm-hmm. So I did my degree. So I, in secondary school, I didn't want to study for work experience. I had a family member that works environmental health, and they said, come and spend time with the environmental health department. I did that. I really enjoyed it. It factored in the subjects I chose to do at A-level. And then I did a degree, and then I came straight out and I joined the workforce from day one of my degree because I got a technical officer job. Quite rare as a profession, you find people coming in from other professions, like people in hospitality that have had an EHO visit and do a food inspection and thought, do you know what, I might pivot my career and do that instead. But there are a few of us that came straight out of school, and I've really enjoyed my 20 years in the profession so far. And I'm so enthusiastic about it because no 2 days are the same.
Obviously, many people associate environmental health with food inspections.
Yeah.
But the profession is obviously much broader than that. So could you share some examples of the different areas environmental health practitioners actually work in?
Yeah, of course. So when I started, a lot of people, family and friends used to be like, oh, you rat catchers, or you deal with rubbish, or you check my kitchen's clean. And yeah, we do all of that, granted, but there's so much more to the profession. So environmental health, really, we can split it into 5 different areas. Occupational health and safety. So health and safety in your workplace. It could be food safety and quality and contamination. That could be food manufacturers. It could be primary producers. It could be cafes, restaurants. Housing and health, very big at the moment with the Renters' Rights Act coming in. So how housing impacts our health. Obviously at the moment there's a lot of talk on damp and mold in particular. Environmental protection, that could be water qualities, drinking water. It could be contaminated land where they're going to build a new housing estate. It could be noise, a very big one. The impact of noise on health is massive, or broader public health, whether that be protection or promotion. So promoting public health or dealing with outbreaks of infectious disease or infectious disease investigation. So very, very broad subjects. There's more to it than a clean kitchen.
As you say, there's a huge array of different industries that it actually fits with. So the Environmental Health Practitioner Degree Apprenticeship is now underway here at the University of Suffolk. So can you tell us a bit about the programme and what apprentices can expect from their learning journey?
Yeah, it's a really good program. It's a 4-year integrated degree apprenticeship. So you get the best of both worlds. You get your degree at the end of it, but you also get your apprenticeship. So it's academic, it's vocational. It's 4 years, which is a requirement of the Chartered Institute of Environmental Health, which is our professional body. And you start off with your kind of foundation skills, and that could be governance of how local authorities work, because a lot of us work in local authority. It could be regulatory skills like court skills, investigatory skills, prosecution skills, basic kind of data, science, maths. And then we build on those foundation skills by, as the years progress, touch on each area of environmental health. So we'll go in to health and safety, to food safety, to housing, to pollution, to public health in depth. And we build up the theory to the practice, eventually doing a dissertation, an endpoint assessment, which is an interview and exam, and that kind of finishes the course. In between that, we have a lot of time in the workplace, in the vocation. So what we teach apprentices, they're contextualizing in the workplace and embedding their learning, which is why it's such a really good route into profession.
So who is the apprenticeship designed for, and what type of employers are enrolling staff onto the programme?
Yeah, so environmental health, is a really broad profession. So you could work in the private practice, you could work in the public sector. At the moment, we're very much rooted in the public sector, in local government in the east of England, trying to bolster a profession where numbers are dwindling. And people aren't coming into the profession, and there's a lot of people leaving the profession that are an aging workforce. So we're working with local authorities, local councils, to really bring the new generation of environmental health practitioners into that workplace, protecting people's health in their community setting. So that's where we're starting. We will probably branch out further than regionally, and in the long term, that may be even working with the private sector, with private companies who employ EHPs in their workforce as well. But at the moment, our impact and space of working is very much kind of the east of England, local authorities bringing in the next generation to protect the public health of our residents.
How does the apprenticeship combine academic learning with workplace experience to obviously ensure that the learners can immediately apply what they are learning?
Yeah, so the way we work it is we have a block method of teaching where we have 3 modules a year. We'll start with a week's intensive teaching within the university campus, and then students will take that out for 9 to 12 weeks in the workplace, contextualizing their learning in that vocational setting, which is really, really important. So from day one, each apprentice has something to offer their workplace, taking on a workload, and delivering that workload, but at the same time, enriching their knowledge through experience in the workplace, and everything that we're teaching them in the academic setting, bringing back to their workplace as well. So it's a lovely mix between the academic and the vocational, and from day one, that apprentice has something to offer tangibly in the workplace. And as the years develop, that will only increase in terms of the competency they have and the remit of work they can undertake.
So, as I said, the programme is already running at the moment. So without naming any individuals, can you tell us a little bit about the current cohort and the organisations that they're from?
Yeah, so the apprenticeship is new. So we started in February of this year, 2026, and it's been accredited now by the Chartered Institute of Environmental Health, which it needs to be. So we have a small cohort with others joining in September, and there's quite a big waiting list now, which I think, to me, highlights the demand out there for this profession. At the moment, we have apprentices from Ipswich Borough Council and East Suffolk District Council, and they're a real great mix of apprentices, ages, backgrounds, people that are new into the profession, people that have come from an admin background in a local authority, to people that are quite, competent technical officers looking to upskill their learning. And again, it makes the teaching richer because people are bringing their work-based knowledge into the classroom as well, which kind of helps with professional discussion. So a really good mix of students, different backgrounds, different stages of their career, all with something to bring, all already contributing to their workforce in the workplace, which is the beauty of the apprenticeship.
Yeah, and I think as you said, you touched on where there's people of all different ages, because I think there's still this stigma that apprentices are just people that are coming straight out of school into an apprenticeship, but it's actually for anybody and everybody. So it can be for people that are coming out of school that are looking to get into the industry, or it could be for somebody that's looking to upskill that has got years experience already, or even somebody that's looking to pivot their career and change directions.
Yeah, and I think for me, coming from a background as a professional practitioner into higher education, I also had that expectation of, school leavers. And the beauty of apprenticeships is it's so broad, and you're right, it covers all of those bases. And I think whether that's investing in your existing workforce and upskilling, which is fundamental for retention and sustainability, or people having that career pivot, which in our profession is such a big thing, or people coming out of college, school, wanting a rewarding career. And I think as the world evolves and we're more technological, and advances in technology with AI, people operating businesses from social media, not bricks and mortar, this young, fresh cohort of people as well has so much to contribute to the existing workforce. So I think for me, the beauty of apprenticeships is that we've got such a broad background of people, which is only going to benefit the profession in the future and makes the teaching even more broadening with everyone's different experiences that they bring to it.
So how have you seen any examples of where learners have been able to take the knowledge from the classroom and apply it already directly into their workplace?
Yeah, absolutely. So the last module we undertook was called regulatory compliance, and the name doesn't do it justice because it really was about investigatory skills, courtroom skills, so giving evidence in court, and a very vocational module, very practical module. We went to the Magistrates Court in Ipswich. We utilised the university's mock court on the 6th floor, which is a fantastic, completely purpose-built court facility. So to see, I think we went to Baber and Mid-Suffolk councils to do practical PACE interviewing, and that PACE interview is an interview under caution, which you'd see the police do. So all these vocational skills we're able to academically embed, practice, and then to see these being taken back into the workplace, whether that's confidence or picking up their own workload or sitting in on colleagues, formal actions. Already I'm seeing the skills being taken back into that workplace setting, which is really good to see, because that's what the apprenticeship's about. It's about being vocationally ready to practice.
Absolutely. As I say, it's learning while you're working and being able to then adapt that and then put that into their career. At the moment, it's vital. So what feedback have you received so far from apprentices about the value that they have received from the programme?
Yeah, I think the feedback's been really strong, and I think what stood out to me is the enjoyment of that intense week of learning on campus. There's 3 blocks a year, which start each module, 3 intensive teaching weeks a year, and we try and pack in as much as possible. It's meant to be an intensive, immersive week, and to see the positive feedback from that has been fantastic. And the things I've taken away is the diversity of the teaching. It's not just 9 to 5 lecturing being taught at. It's working in small groups, it's seminars, it's practical activities, it's guest speakers coming in, it's field trips. And I guess we're all kind of practical vocational people as practitioners. So seeing that the positivity of that way of teaching and learning come out has reinforced to me why the apprenticeship is such a good route. It's definitely gone down well. Yeah.
So from a employer's perspective, how quickly can organisations start to see a return on their investment? So when employees are developing these new skills and knowledge?
Yeah, I think coming from the coalface from local government, there is a skills shortage. There's pressure in terms of increasing workload. There's not enough people to do what is just a growing demand of jobs. In my opinion, from day one, there is positivity from having an apprentice in the workplace. Granted, they're not a completely qualified, competent officer, but we have apprentices in the moment in their workplace undertaking work. So for instance, we've got one apprentice that leads on all food sampling, all hygiene work in tattooists and premises like that, shellfish sampling. So as well as learning, they're out contributing to the workforce and the demand of work. And for me, from day one, an apprentice has something to offer and give. And as the course grows, that the competency grows, and the ability to step into more space within their employment just grows as well. So I really do think it's a win-win from day one.
So one of the benefits of studying from the University of Suffolk is access to the excellent facilities and resources. So can you tell us a little bit about those facilities that are there to support the apprentices?
Yeah, I've been joining the university, I've been so impressed by the facilities available. And when I joined, I had this idea of lecturing, it's just teaching, it's just a classroom. And the university has so much more to offer. We touched on the purpose-built magistrates court that we have within our campus. We've got kind of cutting edge, brand new laboratories, which the students are going to be using on the next module as well, to spend time in the lab environment. As well as that, we've got these incredible academic specialisms that our apprenticeship touches on every aspect of the university in every different school. And example is we have experts in air quality, we have experts in food and nutrition and safety and regulation. We've got experts that are leading work on the River Deben doing water quality sampling. So all of these elements interact on our syllabus for environmental health. So as well as the actual facilities, we've got that rich academic support. And within the university, there's so much support for the apprentices themselves. Between the employer, the apprentice and the university, there's such a wealth of support and mentoring. And from my side, academically, it's the small groups, it's the cohort support. The library service have been in and did a fantastic seminar on referencing, on use of AI, and I do individual tutorials one-to-one. So there's a real breadth of support offered, which is really, really good to see.
It's just say it's and it's not a one size fits all, because each apprentice will need different help and support, and as you say, like with having those facilities, like the purpose-built courtroom, it just means that the apprentice is able to be more comfortable when they are in that actual situation within their workplace, that they've already been there, they've already done it. And so it means that they're able to be a little bit more comfortable with being able to do it in real life.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. We want to create apprentices that are workplace ready, which is why our ethos is so vocational. So a good example is the last module. Most of the apprentices never been in court at all. So with our theory, we gave the theory in a lecturing setting of, what is the role of the English legal system? What's the role of a magistrates court? How's that different from a Crown Court? We then went to Ipswich Magistrates Court. So we took them through security, through search, through the stress of going to court, for emptying your bag, and we went into the public gallery and we watched some, cases, which again embedded that theory. And then we took a fly tipping case in the uni, and we took it in the mock court from the initial case right through to the trial, with the students playing different roles, writing their witness statements, being in the box, being cross-examined. So they're definitely leaving with an understanding of how court works. But, as an officer, the first time you're in court with your own case, it's not a good, it's difficult experience, the environment. They've been there and they've done it, so they know what to expect. And again, I think it touches on the vocational nature of the course, getting people work ready.
So what support mechanisms are in place to help apprentices succeed academically while managing their own professional responsibilities? Because it is a little bit like a juggling act.
It is a big ask, an apprenticeship. And I think, the important thing to remember is, you're in the workplace, you have a work role to do. You're also committed to academic study. And I think, that's both on campus and that's quite, personal study in your own time. What I think is fundamental is we have 12 weekly reviews between the different parties involved. So between the university, the employer, and the apprentice. And each apprentice has their own mentor in the workplace, which I think is really important to make sure that they not only contribute to the work setting, but they get what they need from that work setting as well to record their hours and their work experience. So between that, I think there's very clear parameters about what's expected, what's required, and how it all just benefits and contributes to each other. So a good example is you have your intensive learning week, you take that away for 9 to 12 weeks into the workplace, and you're contextualizing your learning. So you're contributing to what the employer needs, but you're also embedding the skills that you've learned before you do your assessments and you wrap up your module. And I think that with the 12-week reviews, with a mentor in the workplace and with one-to-one tutorials with myself, they've got that good understanding of where and how they need to split their time, because it is demanding, but it's also really rewarding.
So how do you see this apprenticeship contributing to the future of environmental health across Suffolk and obviously the wider east of England?
So obviously we're based in Ipswich, and we're really regionally focused on the east of England. And I think there's a massive demand for the course. There is a massive workforce crisis nationally within our profession, and definitely regionally. We've got local council reorganisation going from a 2-tier authorities to unitaries. There's this massive demand here, and there's an ageing workforce with people leaving. There's a shrinking workforce, but there's an increasing demand on service at a time where a lot of local government is facing cuts and restrictions suspending. So what's vital for sustainability is that we're here at the beginning, putting fresh blood and the next kind of batch of practitioners into the system. So there's that sustainability. And I've been having some really good discussions with local heads of service in East Anglia. And one discussion kind of stuck with me, and it was very much like, we need you and you need us. And I think for me that summarizes this synergy, is that we need the apprentices. So we need workplaces to be like investing in that, but we're here to deliver them a competent workforce. And together we're plugging this gap in the workforce issue, and we're making the profession sustainable to start with in the east of England, and hopefully that will just broaden out as the years go by.
As you say, it's something that employers are actually needing. They need to have these people coming through, and in order for that, they need to be trained. So it is definitely a partnership between us and the employers and the apprentices themselves, so that everyone's working towards obviously being able to get environmental health officers or practitioners into the workplace, so that the ageing workforce that are going to be going off is then replaced by people that are competent and have the knowledge and skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And having come from the coalface myself in local government in London, I was at a kind of senior leadership level, and there isn't many options out there. The recruitment is difficult. We've got a lot of expertise. Within 2 to 5 years of retirement, we need to capture that knowledge and lived experience. And the obvious answer to me before kind of pivoting to this role was, we need to bring in people. And the obvious answer to me was apprentices, because they're contributing from day one. They're bringing in energy to the departments they're embedded in, and they're retaining knowledge before it's lost. And they are the future to workforce pressures. So it really is a win-win, where everyone's got something to win from it, but it can only be achieved by working together to address this underlying issue, which is sustainability in the workforce.
What excites you the most about the future of this programme and the opportunities it will create for both the learners and the employers?
So I think I found the role itself exciting, because having been at the other end of it and dealing with the pressures of not being able to fill vacant posts, to be part of the solution is rewarding. So bringing in the next generation of officers into the profession is a bit of a privilege, really. And it's been fantastic to see already the benefit of the apprenticeship to our current cohort, and how they're taking the information on board and how they're implementing it in the workplace. So just to be able to be involved in that is a real positive step. And what excites me most is the idea of contributing towards what is a workforce crisis in what I feel is a really important and often misunderstood area of work, and to be able to contribute towards a positive in that space, I think is in itself a joy. The main thing for me is the teaching, And having seen how well the vocational focus of our teaching has gone down with apprentices is for me the best thing, seeing someone really enjoy site visits or practical work or guest speakers or other practitioners come in. For me, making that learning something positive is a really good experience.
And finally, if someone's listening today and is considering a career in environmental health, or even an employer that's thinking about investing into an apprenticeship, what would you say to encourage them to take the next step?
So I would say, yeah, for the employer, you've got nothing to lose. So these are challenging times, and I get it because I've come straight from practicing. So everywhere you turn, there's challenge. There's the Renters' Rights Act coming in. There's new legislative burdens. There's challenges coming down the road, like further inequalities, climate change, unitary authorities, restructure, an aging workforce. So you've got all these pressures, and you need a workforce to adapt to meet the demand.
Mm.
And so what I would say is, growing your own, for me, is the obvious only way out of this cycle that we're in. And it might not be an instant return, but it is a return from day one. An apprentice can be a really valid part of a workforce. They can bring an energy to a workforce. They can contribute to a workforce. And within 4 years, you've got someone who's qualified, competent, and registered on their pathway to being an environmental health practitioner. And they are the future of the workforce. And hopefully, they can be retained, and they can be the next generation of practitioners. So I would say there's nothing to be lost from the conversation. To look at the benefits of the levy being used for this, whether it's upskilling the existing workforce, or whether it's bringing in people straight from education into workforce setting. It's a win-win. And for the apprentice, my career has been really interesting, and I never thought I'd be here talking with you about offering a higher education degree apprenticeship, but I am. And I've worked in a variety of different roles, and I think I said before that I've been in cruise ships investigating outbreaks in Harwich of norovirus. I've been in London Stadium doing sports ground safety for West Ham matches, or music concerts. I worked a Sam Fender concert doing crowd safety. I've been in the depths of the pandemic. I was in NHS Nightingale Hospital in Excel. It's a profession that takes you from the office to the community, whether it's people's homes or workplaces. And if you're someone that wants that kind of theoretical, kind of academic challenge, but you want to work with people and be out in the community, it's a win-win. And also, once you're in it, you don't know where it will take you. It might take you in any direction, whether that's longer term, the public sector or the private sector. The opportunities are endless. So it's a very misunderstood and broad career with a lot of opportunities. And I think that we need to get that message out there. And I look forward to working with employers and the Chartered Institute, with schools and colleges, to try and promote the profession in the longer term regionally, because I think that it's a fantastic profession.
Yeah, and as you say, it sounds so diverse, and like not one day is the same. And as you say, you could be in concerts one day, hospital the next day. And so if you like that just array of different things that you'll be doing and never knowing what it is that you're going to be doing, it sounds like a great profession to actually have. And I know you also touched on the levy as well. So if employers are interested and they are needing people to come in, if they are a levy payer, then obviously that will come out of their levy pot.
Yeah.
And if they're not a levy payer, then they could either do a levy transfer, which is quite a simple solution, but it's not so simple on the government website. So you could always come to us. We can help and we can support with that. Again, so if a non-levy employer does want to put somebody on, but needs a little bit of help and support, again, we can help and support with that as well. So there's lots and lots of options out there. Obviously, if they do take somebody on fresh from school, they're under 22, then it's fully funded by the government as well. So there's lots of options for employers. So thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insights into environmental health and the Environmental Health Practitioner Level 6 Degree Apprenticeship. So it's obviously clear from this programme that it offers a fantastic opportunity for individuals to build a rewarding career while helping employers develop the skilled workforce they need for the future. So with a combination of academic learning, workplace experience, and strong university support, apprentices are gaining the knowledge and the confidence to make real impact in their organisations and communities. So again, thank you so much for joining me.
Not a problem at all. Thank you for having me.
If you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Health Practitioner Degree Apprenticeship, please get in touch with the Business Engagement team here at the University of Suffolk. You can visit us at our website, www.uos.ac.uk. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the University of Suffolk Business Engagement Podcast.